Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are stripping away the veneer of the ordinary to look at something that, I'm not going to lie, kept me up last night.
Okay.
We are taking a trip down to the Sunshine State, but I want you to put aside any mental images of, Disney World or Art Deco hotels.
No spring break parties on this trip?
No, none of that. We are going to the Gulf Coast, specifically a bayside high-rise in St. Petersburg, Florida.
It's a setting that you can almost feel the humidity just talking about it. St. Petersburg is often called God's waiting room.
Right.
And that nickname does so much heavy lifting for the story we are covering today. It implies a pause, a kind of stasis, a place where people go to just run out the clock.
Exactly. We're entering the lonely and I think slightly desperate world of a widower named Dean Evers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing this by unpacking the novella A Face in the Crowd by, a literary dream team, Stephen King and Stewart.
This is such a fascinating collaboration. You have King, who's the master of horror, the supernatural, and then you pair him up with Onan, who is just brilliant at capturing the melancholy of everyday life. The sad little details of the mundane.
Right.
So when you mash those two sensibilities together, you don't get a jump scare monster movie. You get a psychological dismantling.
It is so unsettlingly quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story about a man sitting in a chair watching TV, and yet it feels like a high-speed car crash in slow motion.
That's a great way to put it.
We also have some secondary sources in the stack today, excerpts from Black House and The Talisman, both by King and Peter Straub.
Which might seem like a bit of a detour, but stick with us.
Yeah.
Those stories, they deal with parallel worlds and the sort of thin membrane between reality and something else.
They set the stage.
They provide the perfect thematic backdrop for what happens to Dean Evers.
Yeah.
But our main event is definitely A Face in the Crowd.
So let's set the scene properly. Our protagonist is Dean Evers. He's a snowbird from New England. He's retired, he's wealthy, and he is completely, totally alone.
He is the definition of a man who has succeeded by all the American standards, but has maybe failed at being a human being. Oof. He lives in this condo with a great view of the bay, but the description of his life is just textureless. He's filling time. That is his entire existence. He isn't living. He's just waiting for the next day to start so he can get through that one, too.
And the way he fills that silence is with baseball, specifically the Tampa Bay Rays.
Or the Devil Rays, depending on when we are in the story.
Right. But here's the thing that really struck me. Dean isn't even a Rays fan.
No, not at all. He's a Red Sox fan, born and bred.
So why watch the Rays? What's the point?
Because they're there. It's proximity. It's pure convenience. He watches them because the game fills the empty condo with light and noise. It's a substitute for human contact.
Wow.
And there's a very specific, almost tactile scene right at the beginning that just defines Dean for me. It's the pork chop incident.
Oh, man, the pork chop. This felt like pure Onan to me. It is just so deeply depressing.
It really is. So Dean is trying to cook dinner for himself. His wife, Ellie, has passed away. And without her, he is, functionally helpless in the domestic sphere.
Right.
He goes to Publix and buys one of those pre-seasoned plastic-wrapped pork chops.
Which is already such a sad image, just one single chop.
Just one. And he has no idea how to cook it. He puts it in the pan, he pokes at it, he prods it. He's terrified of undercooking it, so of course he goes way the other way.
Torches it.
He scorches it.
Yeah.
By the time he sits down to eat it in front of the TV, the text describes it as being tough as a catcher's mitt.
And that simile, tough as a catcher's mitt, is just doing so much work there. It ties his pathetic little dinner right back into the baseball theme that's about to consume him.
It does. And it emphasizes the sensory unpleasantness of his life. He's chewing this rubbery, flavorless piece of meat, alone, in the dark, watching a game played in a stadium that is, let's be honest, famous for being empty.
Let's talk about that stadium for a second. Tropicana Field, the Trop.
It's absolutely crucial to the atmosphere. It's a domed stadium. You've got artificial turf, artificial light.
No soul.
No soul at all. And traditionally, the Rays have had very low attendance. So when Dean is watching the game on his big screen TV, he isn't seeing a sea of screaming fans. He sees thousands of empty blue seats.
It's hollow. It's sterile.
It's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
If you watch a game at Fenway or Yankee Stadium, the crowd is just a blur. It's wallpaper. It's the public.
Right.
But at the Trop, in a blowout game on a Tuesday night, You can pick out individuals. You can see the faces of the people sitting in the premium seats right behind home plate.
And that brings us to the core conflict. Dean is watching these anonymous faces, just glazing over them until the anonymity shatters. The mundane act of watching TV suddenly becomes the vehicle for the macabre.
And this is the mission of our deep dives today. We need to explore how this story takes a seemingly ordinary man, a guy who really thinks he's a nice guy, a pragmatist, and dismantles his entire life through the lens of a baseball game.
It's a reckoning.
It's a total reckoning. Dean thinks he's the observer, safe behind the screen, but the story just flips the script on him.
So let's get into it. The first inning, the ghosts in the diamond. Dean is sawing away at that tough pork chop, watching the Rays play the Mariners. A nothing game.
Just another Tuesday night.
And then he spots a figure behind home plate.
It's the first crack in the dam. He sees a man wearing a white sanitary smock.
A dentist's smock.
Slicked back, pomaded hair, thick Coke bottle bifocals that distort the man's eyes. And Dean recognizes him immediately, even though it should be completely impossible.
It's Dr. Young, his childhood dentist from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts.
But this isn't the kindly old dentist who gives you a sticker and a lollipop on your way out.
No!
Dr. Young was the dental bogeyman of Dean's entire childhood.
The details they use here are so visceral. Dean remembers the smell, clove oil and stale blood. And he remembers the hook.
The hook is pure horror. Dr. Young had been a Marine in the Pacific Theater of World War II. He lost part of his leg and he lost his hand. He used a stainless steel hook as a prosthetic.
Oh, wow.
And Dean remembers him as a sadist, a man who brought all his trauma back from the war and just inflicted it on the children of Shrewsbury. He wouldn't use Novocaine if he could get away with it.
So Dean is seeing this absolute monster from the 1950s sitting in the front row of a baseball game in 2012.
Right.
And this is where we really get to see Dean's psychology at work. Does he scream? Does he run out of the condo?
No. He rationalizes. This is his superpower, or maybe his fatal flaw. He uses logic to try and defeat the horror. He looks at the screen and he thinks, he can't be Dr. Young. That man would be 90 years old.
He remembers the cigarettes, LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Yeah.
He remembers Dr. Young chain-smoking unfiltered Lucky Strikes. And Dean tells himself that guy is dead. The lung cancer would have gotten him decades ago.
It's a defense mechanism. He's trying to enforce the laws of physics and biology to keep the supernatural out of his living room.
Exactly. He is literally gaslighting himself. I didn't see what I saw.
But he still checks.
He has to. The next day, he calls the newspaper morgue or checks the archives online, and he gets confirmation.
Dr. Young died in 1978.
1978. So logically, Dean should be relieved. Okay, it wasn't him, just a doppelganger, a weird coincidence.
But he isn't relieved at all, is he?
No, because seeing the obituary makes it real in a different way. It confirms that the face he saw belonged to a dead man. But Dean? He just doubles down on the denial. He pours some scotch, he takes an Ambien.
Well, the Ambien and the scotch, that's a recurring cocktail in this story.
It is Dean's way of hitting the mute button on his own conscience. He numbs himself, he drifts off. He thinks if he just ignores it, it will go away.
But of course it doesn't. The game goes into extra innings, so to speak. We move to the second sighting, and if Dr. Young was a childhood fear, this next one is a full-blown adult sin.
Oh, yeah. This is where the story shifts from spooky coincidence to personal accusation.
Right.
The next time Dean watches a game, it's the Rays versus Mariners again. King Felix is pitching. He sees Leonard Wheeler.
Lenny, his old business partner.
They founded Speedy Truck Rental together. And seeing Lenny isn't just scary because he's dead. It's scary because of how he looks.
He's wearing a suit.
A pinstripe suit. And not just any suit. It's the one he was buried in.
Ugh, that detail just sends a shiver down my spine. But there's something else wrong with the picture. Lenny is doing something he couldn't possibly do.
He's eating a hot dog, and he's talking on a cell phone.
And why is the cell phone so important? I mean, everyone at a ball game is on their phone these days.
Because Leonard Wheeler died of a heart attack long before cell phones were ubiquitous. It is a blatant anachronism.
Well, it's a glitch in the matrix.
It's more than a glitch. It tells us, and more importantly, it tells Dean, that these aren't just static memories or hallucinations playing on some kind of loop.
They're active.
These ghosts are adapting. They are active in the present. Lenny is using modern technology. He's comfortable. He's enjoying the game.
And Dean's reaction to seeing his old partner isn't fear this time. It's anger. Just pure, unadulterated rage.
He explodes. He screams at the TV, "You controlling son of a bitch!" He spills his dinner. This time it's chicken, an instant mash. Another sad, lonely meal all over his carpet.
This reaction is so telling. He isn't acting like a man who misses his old friend. He's acting like a man who is still in a power struggle with him.
Because he is. And this forces us to unpack the history of speedy truck rental. Dean didn't just outlive Lenny. He destroyed him.
Let's break that down. What happened between them?
Lenny was the visionary. He was the steel in the company, as the book says. He wanted to expand, take the company national.
Okay.
Dean was the pragmatist, which is a really nice word for coward in this context. He was terrified of the risk. He thought expansion would ruin them.
So instead of talking it out or, selling his share, Dean went nuclear?
He went nuclear. He blackmailed Lenny. He found out from Lenny's assistant that Lenny, a married man with a family, had a secret life. He was attracted to young men, lifeguard types, as Dean sneers in his memory.
And Dean used that. He weaponized Lenny's sexuality against him.
He threatened to expose him to the shareholders, to his wife, to his kids. He forced Lenny out of the company that he built. And shortly after that, the stress killed him. Lenny had a massive heart attack.
And the most chilling part is how Dean justifies this. Even now, staring at the ghost of the man he ruined, he still thinks he was right.
He quotes Archimedes, "Give me a lever long enough." He views the blackmail material as just a tool, a lever. He convinces himself he did it to save the company, to save his wife Ellie's lifestyle, to save his son Patrick's tuition.
It's that nice guy narcissism. I did a bad thing for a good reason, so I'm actually the hero of this story.
Exactly. He sees his ruthlessness as a necessity. He thinks he took the hard road for the greater good. But seeing Lenny on that screen, looking healthy, laughing into a cell phone, it cracks that whole narrative. Lenny isn't a victim anymore.
Yeah.
He's a spectator. He's watching Dean. And he looks like he's having a great time.
This brings up a really interesting point about the technology in the story. I mean, King and Annan are doing something very specific with the television.
They're playing with the medium itself. We condition ourselves to think of TV as a one-way mirror. We're the voyeurs. We watch the athletes, the actors, the news anchors.
Right, they can't see us.
Can't see us. We are safe in our living rooms.
But in A Face in the Crowd, the polarity just flips.
The TV becomes a two-way mirror. Dean is in his condo, thinking he is completely safe, but the people on the screen are looking back. The stadium becomes a panopticon.
It reminds me of that line Dean has about solitary confinement. He compares his late-night thoughts to being in solitary.
That is one of the most profound lines in the whole book. He says something like, at some point, a beating had to stop, but a thought could go on and on.
That hits hard.
It does. I mean, physical pain has a limit. You pass out or you die.
Yeah.
But mental anguish, guilt, shame, that's infinite, just loops. The ghosts on the screen are essentially those thoughts breaking out of solitary confinement.
They're broadcasting in HD.
They're broadcasting in high definition. And the prison break is just getting started.
Okay, let's move to the middle innings. Because if Wheeler was about business, the next two ghosts are deeply, painfully personal.
Segment 2, the sins of childhood and the failures of marriage.
So the third sighting, it's a boy, Lester Embry. But everyone called him Soupy.
This one just breaks my heart. There's a play at the plate. PJ Upton is sliding in, dust is flying everywhere, and in the background, amidst all that action, a boy with a Dutch boy haircut rises from his seat.
And Dean knows him instantly.
It's Soupy Embry, a kid from the wrong side of the tracks in Shrewsbury. Poor kid. Wore hand-me-downs. And this triggers a memory of a game they used to play called Smear the Queer.
Yeah, just the name of the game tells you everything you need to know about the era and the casual cruelty of it.
It really does. It was a game of domination. One person has the ball, and everyone else tries to tackle them. But in Dean's memory, it wasn't just a game. It was a targeted assault.
And here we go with Dean's defense again. I didn't touch him.
I didn't lay a hand on him. Gene was the general. He stood back. He told his friend, Chucky Kazmierski, to handle it. He gave the order. Get him.
Delegated bullying. It's the exact same pattern as the business with Lenny. He uses an agent to do the dirty work so he can keep his hands clean.
He remembers Kaz ripping Soupy's shirt, exposing his pale fish belly skin. It's a humiliating, violent memory. And the tragedy is that Soupy disappears shortly after that day. He was found dead in Marsden's Pond.
And the imagery Dean recalls, seeing Soupy rising from the spillway as an eyeless thing. I mean, it is pure nightmare fuel.
So on the TV, Soupy isn't eyeless. He is damaged, though. He points a finger at Dean, a finger that has clearly been nibbled by fish, and he mouths 3 words.
You murdered me.
And Dean just loses it. He screams on the television, "Not true, you fell in the pond. It was your own goddamn fault."
He pulls the whole boys will be boys defense. He argues diminished capacity.
He actually thinks to himself, you can't blame kids for being malevolent. It's in their nature. He is trying to legally absolve himself of moral rot. He refuses to accept that his cruelty, his leadership in that bullying, might have driven that boy to the pond.
Or at least created the environment where he died.
Exactly. He's desperate. He's trying to argue his way out of hell. But if Soupy was the past, the next ghost is the immediate present, or the recently past present, his wife, Ellie.
This is the moment that truly dismantles Dean. He's watching the game, hoping for a distraction, maybe praying for a rain delay, and suddenly, there she is, in the stands.
And she's wearing her tennis whites.
Which is such a devastating detail.
It is. That's what she was wearing the day she had her stroke.
Yeah.
She is frozen in the moment that she left him.
And she's not even watching the game. She's staring at her iPhone. And then she looks up, locks eyes with the camera with Dean, and motions for him to pick up his phone.
And he does. The haunting crosses the medium. He picks up his actual phone in his condo, and she is on the line.
This conversation, it is not the tearful reunion you might expect in a different kind of story. It is not, I miss you, honey.
No. It is a forensic audit of their 46-year marriage. Ellie just strips him bare. She tells him she knows everything. She knows about the affair with Martha.
Martha, the assistant. The one who smelled of juicy couture.
That sensory detail, the cheap, sweet perfume, it represents his infidelity. It's sticky. It lingers. But interestingly, Ellie says the affair isn't even the worst part.
What is the worst part?
His parenting. His absence. She attacks his role as a father to their son, Patrick.
And Dean defends himself with the classic provider logic. He's shouting, I brought home the bacon, I paid for the Sub-Zero fridge, I paid for the Audi.
He lists appliances. He lists luxury cars. He genuinely believes that money buys forgiveness, or if not forgiveness, then at least tolerance. He has this internal thought that sums up his entire worldview. Money allows one to endure unhappiness in relative comfort.
That is just such a cynical, transactional way to view a human life.
It's completely empty. He views relationships as balance sheets. I provided X amount of luxury, therefore I am owed Y amount of respect.
But Ellie shuts that down.
Oh, she shuts it down hard. She delivers the kill shot. She says, I tried to be nice. People like you eat nice.
People like you eat nice. That line stopped me cold.
It's profound. It suggests that Dean is a predator, a consumer. He takes kindness and views it as a weakness to be exploited. He ate her kindness. He ate Wheeler's trust. He ate Soupy Embry's dignity. He just consumes everything around him to feed his own ego.
And this just leaves Dean shattered. He's drinking more scotch. He's popping expired Ambien, trying to numb himself to the fact that his wife just called him out from beyond the grave.
But the reality is cracking. The barrier between the condo and the stadium is getting thinner and thinner. Which leads us to the 7th inning stretch.
This is where the story takes a sharp turn from haunting to active participation. Dean is trying to escape. He picks up a book, a Harlan Coben novel. He's trying to ignore the glowing screen, but his phone buzzes again.
It's Kaz, his old buddy, Chucky Kizmierski, the enforcer from the Soupy Embry incident.
And Kaz is watching the game too, but he's confused. He asks Dean, why didn't you tell me you were going to the stadium?
Dean is baffled. He's like, I'm not at the stadium. I'm in my living room. I'm reading a book.
But Kaz insists. He says, no, I can see you on TV. You're sitting in the front row.
And this is the twist that just bends reality. Kaz asks Dean to wave. So Dean, in his living room, waves his hand at the empty air. But the Dean on the TV, the avatar, the doppelganger, he waves a giant foam finger.
The RYS are #one finger.
And the Dean on TV is wearing a Rays jersey. Now remember, Dean hates the Rays. He considers their colors traitor colors. Seeing himself wearing that jersey, waving that finger, it means his identity is being rewritten.
He's being assimilated. The stadium is claiming him.
The synchronization is terrifying. He waves in the living room. The avatar waves in the stadium. The connection is absolute. He's no longer just watching. He's being pulled into the screen.
So Dean makes a decision. And honestly, it's the most proactive thing he's done in the whole story. Maybe the only brave thing.
He decides to confront it. He says to Kaz, we should either have been nicer to Lester Embry or left him alone.
A moment of clarity, finally. He admits some fault.
A moment of regret. So he puts on his armor, his lucky Kurt Schilling Red Sox jersey, the one with the bloody sock on it.
For anyone who doesn't follow baseball, that bloody sock is a holy relic. It's from the 2004 ALCS. It represents playing through pain. It represents the ultimate sacrifice for the win.
He's going to war.
Dean is going to war. He calls a cab. He goes to Tropicana Field.
And the cab ride itself is so eerie, it feels like a descent into the underworld. The streets of St. Peter deserted, The cabbie is hostile.
And Dean, true to form, tips him poorly. He's cheap to the bitter end, and the cabbie just yells, "Fuck you, Boston!"
It's like the city itself is rejecting him. He is an invader.
So we arrive at the bottom of the ninth, the final destination. Dean gets to the trop.
And the atmosphere is all wrong. It's hollow. The sound of the crowd isn't a roar. It's described as a hollow surf boom.
The echo of a memory.
It's not organic. He goes to the will call window, and the ticket agent.
Huh?
She looks familiar.
She looks like Martha, his affair partner.
Yeah.
And she smells like Juicy Couture.
Of course she does. And there's only one envelope left.
Compliments of the management.
That phrase just chills me every time. Who is the management?
Is it Satan? Is it God? Is it the Rays front office?
I think it's his own guilt. He has managed his own hell. He created the itinerary. So he takes the ticket, he goes down to his seat. The usher is this ancient man who doesn't laugh at Dean's jokes. Dean tries to be charming, but it falls completely flat. You can't charm the afterlife.
He gets to the front row, and there it is, the seat.
And waiting for him in the seat is the razor #1 foam finger.
He sits down, he accepts his fate, and then he looks down at his chest.
The transformation is complete. He is no longer wearing the Kurt Schilling jersey. The bloody sock is gone. He is wearing a turquoise Rays shirt.
And the name on the back?
Matt Young.
Wow. A fusion. Matt Moore, the pitcher who was on the mound, and Dr. Young, the dentist with the hook.
Dean has become a chimera of his own tormentors. He is part of the team now.
And then he looks at the Jumbotron, and this is the reveal that just drops your stomach out.
He looks up at the giant screen, expecting to see a replay of the game or something. Instead, he sees his own bedroom.
He sees his own body.
Lying in bed, dead.
Foam dried like old spider webs on his chin.
So the ambient in the scotch.
It wasn't just a nap. He died, likely sometime over the weekend.
He's been dead this whole time.
So everything we've been witnessing, the phone calls, the drive to the stadium, the conversation with Kaz.
It's the transition, it's the bardo.
Can you explain that term, bardo?
It comes from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's the intermediate state between death and rebirth. It's a period where the consciousness separates from the body and experiences all these hallucinations and visions based on its karma.
Okay.
Dean has been navigating his own bardo, populated by the deities of his life who happen to be his victims.
So he isn't haunting the stadium. The stadium is the afterlife, or at least his specific corner of it.
Exactly. Kaz calls him again. And Kaz is the voice of the living world, realizing something is very wrong. The police are at Dean's condo. They found the body.
But Dean denies it. He says, "I'm at the game." He chooses his reality. He chooses the stadium over the grave.
And then the seats start to fill up. This is the final haunting image. The empty seats around him begin to populate.
It's a gathering.
Uncle Elmer, Aunt June, old high school girlfriends, former employees.
Don Blanton, the employee who hanged himself.
Lenny Wheeler's daughter. Soupy Embry, still in his rags, still wet from the pond. His parents. Everyone he has ever known. Everyone he's ever wronged or loved or ignored. They're all filing in.
And Dean, he just accepts it. He saves the seat next to him for Kaz.
We aren't done talking just yet. That line implies that Kaz, too, will eventually end up here. They are bound by their shared sins.
And the game itself continues endlessly. Josh Beckett has thrown 60 pitches in the third inning. It's never going to end.
It is a hell of his own making. A purgatory of eternal spectatorship. He watched life from a distance, so now he must watch forever, surrounded by the witnesses to his failures.
Wow. Okay, that's heavy. But it feels complete. Now, we did promise some connections to the rest of the stack. We have excerpts from Black House and the Talisman. How do these fit into Dean Evers' nightmare?
Well, let's look at Black House first. This is the sequel to the Talisman, written by King and Peter Straub. The excerpt we have gives us this, panoramic, eagle-eye view of Cooley County, Wisconsin.
Right. It feels very different visually. A face in the crowd is so claustrophobic. It's zoomed in on Dean's face. Black House is floating above the world.
Exactly. The narrator in Black House is almost like a drone camera swooping down over the landscape.
Yeah.
But there is a thematic link. Black House talks about the fluid present, where the past darkens as it recedes.
Okay.
And it deals with small towns harboring dark secrets. We have the Thunder 5 bikers.
The bikers who are actually philosophy majors?
Yes. Discussing Hegel while riding Harleys. It disrupts our expectations, just like Dean disrupts our expectation of a sweet old widower. But the core connection is the hidden darkness. In Black House, there's a serial killer called the Fisherman operating in this quiet town, snatching children.
Right.
In a face of the crowd, The darkness is in the empty seats of a baseball stadium. Both stories suggest that if you look closely enough at the ordinary world, the town square, the ball game, you'll see the monsters hiding in plain sight.
It's about perception, seeing what other people miss.
Precisely. And what about the Talisman? We have Jack Sawyer standing on the beach at the Alhambra Inn.
The Talisman provides a really fascinating contrast. You have Jack Sawyer, a 12-year-old boy. His mother, Lily, is dying of cancer. He is surrounded by death.
Just like Dean is surrounded by death. Dean is a widower. Jack is about to be an orphan.
But look at how they react. That's the key difference.
Dean Evers isolates himself. He pushes people away. He hides in his condo. He eats his terrible pork chop alone. Jack Sawyer. He steps out. He finds a mentor. He finds Speedy Parker, the janitor with the magical current.
Speedy Parker. The world just get worse, or did she get better?
Jack engages with the world. He goes on a quest to save his mother. He travels across America and across the territories. Dean Evers refuses the quest.
He sits in the chair.
He sits in the chair. He watches the screen. And because he refuses to engage, because he refuses to try and redeem himself, he is consumed.
That is a brilliant distinction. Jack Sawyer is a hero because he acts. Dean Evers is a victim of himself because he only watches.
It's the difference between the protagonist of an epic and the protagonist of a horror story. Dean is the anti-Jack.
So let's bring it all back home. What is the synthesis here? What are we taking away from Dean Evers and his eternal baseball game?
I think the core message is about the definition of a successful life. Dean lived the American dream. He made the money. He beat the competition. He retired to Florida with a view of the water.
He won. By all the metrics of capitalism, he won the game.
But he lost his soul in the process. He thought he was simply passing time in that condo. But he wasn't passing time. He was serving time.
He was serving time. That's a really powerful way to put it. He was in a prison of his own construction long before he actually died.
And the aha moment for me is realizing what that stadium represents. It isn't just a place to watch a game. It is a courtroom. It is a jury box. The spectators are the evidence of your life.
And the verdict is guilty.
The verdict is guilty. And the sentence is to sit there and watch it all forever.
Well, on that cheerful note, seriously, though, it makes you think. It makes you want to call your friends. Maybe apologize to an old business partner.
Or at least stop cooking pork chops until they're shoe leather.
Please, for the love of God, stop doing that. Treat yourself better than Dean treated himself. So here is our final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day.
Dean Evers thought he was alone in that stadium until he wasn't. If you were to walk into a stadium right now, sit down behind home plate, and just look at the empty seats next to you, who from your past would file in to take the spot?
And the real question is, would they be cheering for you? Or would they be pointing a finger?
Something to mull over.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.